Hi, it's a pleasure to be here today with you. My name is Dr. Clark Pierce. I'm a PhD in biochemistry, and my background has been in diabetes research. Why we're here today is to talk about the laminine stem cell and why is the laminine stem cell so important. What can it do for you? Why is the laminine stem cell the staff alive? What we'd like to do is look at a chart here, and we won't get into the chemistry. We'll keep this easy and we'll move along. But this is the human embryo. And around the human embryo, we see the placenta. And of course, we see the DNA and the RNA. Now, in this particular chart here, we see the fertilized chicken embryo with the DNA and the RNA and the yolk sac. And we also see the white of the egg. But what is interesting here is that at day 9 of incubation, both embryos have copious amount of fibroblastic growth factor. Well, what's fibroblastic growth factor and why is it important to you? What can it do for you? What fibroblastic growth factor is stem cells. And we find that stem cells are the staff alive. They're the reason everything is created. They're the reason that there is a creation. They're packets of light and intelligence that are non-differentiated, and they're waiting to be given an assignment. So we see here the different organs and tissues that are developed during the embryo's growth and development. And we see, for instance, at month 3, the fibroblastic stem cells are creating hepatocytes for the liver. We see at month 9, it's for the lungs, and so on and so forth. But the importance of it is that these are very, very important. They're magical cells that are the staff alive. They create everything. All creation comes from stem cells. So, what can this mean for you? What can it do for you right now today? Why is it so important? Let's take a look here at the human brain. What we find about the human brain that's important is there are no stem cells in the adult human brain. There are precious few stem cells that are circulating. What if you had fibroblastic growth factor stimulating in your brain? What if you had the laminine stem cell in your brain? Now, the company did the research, and then they added some other very important products to the fibroblastic growth factor, or the laminine stem cell. They put in 22 amino acids along with some other nutrients. What is interesting and significant about this is that they added this to oligopeptides, which are very small peptide chains that can easily go across the blood-brain barrier. So instantly, you have circulating in your brain laminine stem cells. Well, what can that do for you? Why is that so important? Let's talk about that a little bit. The brain can use the laminine stem cells to heal. It can use to reconstruct. It can do almost anything it wants with these laminine stem cells, because remember, they're non-differentiated. They're just waiting to be given an assignment to fulfill. So, let's take a look at the thyroid gland, for example. What can the laminine stem cell do for that? This is very interesting because the thyroid gland is beginning to be a real problem. There are many, many people in America that are not producing enough thyroxine. So, what can this do for you? Well, the thyroid gland sends messages to the chemoreceptors in the brain telling it that it's low in thyroid hormone. So the brain then, in turn, can go to the fibroblastic growth factor and turn it into thyroid-releasing hormone. And that then, in turn, goes to the thyroid gland, and you produce more thyroxine. And you produce more tetroiodoiodine, so that's T4 and T3. Amazing thing, I gave this to a friend who had had 20 years experience with thyroid problems, and in 3 weeks, the problem was gone. 3 weeks, the symptoms disappeared. And the doctors at the hospital were very interested and wanted to know why that could be. So I explained that to them. But this has far-reaching effects, and let's look at some of the other things that are interesting to those of you. There's so many maladies we suffer from. Let's take a look at the immune system. What is the immune system? What are immune diseases? What the immune diseases are is the body's fighting against itself. The different immunoglobulins in the body are destroying you. Oh, as an example, let's take an example for like rheumatoid arthritis. The immunoglobulins are tearing up the joints of the body, the tissues of the joint, the bone, the cartilage, and the synovial sheath, synovial membranes. So it's a lot of pain and a lot of trial, and a lot of, there's just many people that are faced with this. Some of the other immune problems that are becoming very common in America, fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome is a very big one. This is one that's not very well understood, but however they do know it's an immune deficiency. They know that many people are faced with it, and it's just devastating. Yeah, they can't work. All they do is sleep. It's a phenomenal problem in America. So what can this do? What can the Laminine stem cell do for you if you have these immuno problems? Lupus erythema, chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, scleroderma, Reiter's, Still's, the list goes on. In this case, the brain can use the Laminine stem cell as a deactivator, and it can send it to the immune system, and it can dampen the immunoglobulins. It can decrease the immune system and slow it down. So what does that do? It slows down the symptoms of chronic fatigue syndrome. It slows down the symptoms of fibromyalgia, and the list goes on. And there are many other problems that we can look at. There's a wide range of problems that this has an incredible future for. Heart disease, high blood pressure, cancer, diabetes, thyroid, osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, chronic fatigue syndrome, lupus, scleroderma, asthma, memory, Alzheimer's, ADH, Parkinson's, autism, schizophrenia, MS, depression, anxiety, sleep disorders, relaxation. The list goes on and on. Hair and skin rejuvenation, libido and muscle performance and regeneration. This magical cell, this magical silver bullet that has been recently come out on the market can do many things to address these problems that you have with your health. And we'll talk more about that.